Welcome to Mafia Related. I'm your host, Johnny Colatello, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about the old boss of the Chicago outfit, Sam Giancana. So without further ado, let's get into the story. Chicago, 1975. A powerful mob boss is sitting alone in his kitchen, frying sausage and peppers. Minutes later, he's found dead on the floor, shot multiple times in the back of the head and once in the mouth. Execution style. No witnesses, no arrests, no justice. This wasn't just any mob hit, though. This was Sam Giancana, the Chicago outfit boss who had connections reaching from the streets of Chicago all the way to the White House, Hollywood, and even the CIA. And when he started talking, he became a problem that needed to disappear. Sam Giancana was born Salvatore Giancana in 1908 in Chicago to Italian immigrant parents. He grew up in one of the toughest neighborhoods in the city, the Patch, poor, violent, and dominated by gangs. By his teens, Giancana was already running with the 42 Gang, a notorious street crew known for robbery, hijacking, and murder. This wasn't small-time crime. This was a training ground for future mob bosses. And Giancana stood out. He was smart, ruthless, and most importantly, he made money. That got attention of the Chicago outfit, then run by Al Capone. Giancana quickly rose through the ranks, becoming one of the outfit's top earners through illegal gambling operations, loan sharking, and rackets across the Midwest. By the 1950s, Giancana became one of the most powerful figures in organized crime. Then, in 1957, he officially became the boss of the Chicago outfit. And that's where everything changed. As boss, Giancana wasn't just running Chicago. He had influence across the country. Las Vegas, he had money in casinos. Hollywood, he had connections. Politics, he had major leverage. He expanded the outfit's reach into Cuba, where mobsters were heavily invested in casinos before the Cuban Revolution. Giancana wasn't just a gangster. He was becoming a power broker. And that power brought him into contact with people far beyond organized crime, including one of the most powerful families in America. One of the most controversial and debated parts of Giancana's life is his connection to the Kennedy family. Here's what's historically supported. During the 1960 presidential election, there are credible accounts and testimony suggests that the Chicago outfit, including Giancana, may have helped JFK win Illinois. The margin was razor thin, and Illinois was critical. Some sources, including mob insiders and later investigators, claim that Giancana used his influence over unions and political networks to sway votes. Now, was this ever proven in court? No, but it is widely reported and discussed by historians, journalists, and even government investigators. What makes this even more explosive is what happened next. After JFK became president, his brother, Robert F. Kennedy, the Attorney General, launched an aggressive crackdown on organized crime, and Giancana was a primary target. From Giancana's perspective, he helped them win, and they turned on him. That betrayal would fuel paranoia and possibly revenge motives that still get debated today.
Will you tell us anything about any of your operations, or you just giggle every time I ask you a question?
Decline to answer because I honestly believe my answer might tend to incriminate me.
I thought only little girls giggled with the Giancana.
Now this is where the story gets even darker and fully documented. In the early 1960s, the CIA recruited members of the Mafia, including Sam Giancana, for one specific purpose: to assassinate Fidel Castro. This is not a conspiracy theory. This was confirmed in the US government investigations, including the Church Committee hearings in the 1970s. Why use the mob? Because they already had connections in Cuba, and they knew how to kill people without leaving evidence. Giancana, along with other mob figures like Santo Trafficante, was involved in discussions and planning around poisoning Castro. That plan involved poison pills that would be slipped into Castro's food or drink. It never worked, but think about that. A Chicago mob boss, working with the US government on international assassination plots. Giancana now had knowledge that could destroy careers, expose secrets, and embarrass the highest levels of power. And that made him dangerous. Giancana's name has also been linked to Marilyn Monroe, one of the most famous women in the world. Now here's what's important. There's no definitive proof that Giancana had a direct relationship with Monroe, but multiple sources and accounts suggested overlap between Giancana's world and Monroe's connections, particularly involving the Kennedys. Monroe was known to have relationships with both John F. Kennedy and Robert F. Kennedy, and Giancana had connections to both political and Hollywood circles. Some investigators and authors have suggested that Giancana may have had knowledge of sensitive information involving Monroe and the Kennedys. Again, not proven in court, but it adds another layer to just how connected Giancana was. He wasn't just a mob boss. He was sitting at the intersection of crime, politics, and celebrity. By the mid-1960s, Giancana was under intense pressure. The federal government was closing in. He was eventually jailed for contempt of court after refusing to testify before a grand jury. After his release, he fled to Mexico, but was later brought back to the US. By 1975, Giancana was scheduled to testify before the Senate about his knowledge of CIA operations. That meant one thing. He was about to talk, and people were nervous. On June 19, 1975, just days before he was supposed to testify, Giancana was killed in his home, shot multiple times, execution style. The final shot, placed in his mouth, was a classic mob message. Silence. The case was never solved. No one was ever charged. Sam Giancana lived at a level few mobsters ever reached. He wasn't just running rackets. He was influencing elections, working with intelligence agencies, and brushing shoulders with presidents and Hollywood icons. In the end, he knew too much. Was he killed by the mob, by people in power, or both? We may never know, but one thing is certain. Sam Giancana wasn't just a gangster. He was one of the most connected and most dangerous men in American history. So I want to know from you, the audience. Did Sam Giancana know too much? Is that why he was whacked out? Let me know in the comments. And if you liked this video today on Sam Giancana, then please make sure to smash that like button.